Okay, oh, Jack again. You know who's speaking. So reincarnation. Reincarnation was also placed in by Anu, which is part of the white light construct, part of the soul construct. You have reincarnation, the white light construct, and the soul construct. That basically did a 3-in-1, which is part of the whole recycling situation. So the soul construct was connected to the white light, was connected to Anu, existence, the universe, etc. So that you just remain in your pre-programmed, preordained life experience here on earth, etc. Then you have reincarnation. Now reincarnation was specifically directed by specific beings. In other words, the following: you die. You had about 17 lives before the one you had when you just died. Now all that information is in your soul. So what happens is, the moment you die, you had beings who obviously, specifically wrote everything down in, which is called the Akashic Records, which is basically imprints of your entire life experience in a book. And then you die, and then you'd be led to this being, okay? Now this is when you were this is where you go. This was now the upgraded placement that they placed in, the authoritative placement of deciding whether you'll go to reincarnation, whether you will be placed in ascension process, whether you would choose to be in your own heaven, where you will either go to another galaxy and exist on another planet. Reincarnation is, yeah, etc. So then you walk up to this being. Now it was a massive manifestation being with this, like a preacher's table thing, and this massive book on top of it. Now this is not all beings in existence's book have ever had lives on earth. Then you walk up to this being, and this being looks at your life and decides whether you whether you're required to learn more lessons, whether you have failed lessons. It was all about lessons and that whole bullshit about karma, etc., which is bullshit. It's part of the whole soul construct manifestation to have human beings believe they have to go life after life trying to fucking figure out one point, because they fucked up in previous lives, which they can't even remember why they did it, how they got there, and now they have to pay for it through learning a lesson and apparently transcending that point. That is utter, excuse my word, but it is really bullshit. I just couldn't believe, in terms of, I won't get there, never mind. Okay, so karma was the manifestation of karma. It was also another the manifestation of karma was another point to enslave human beings, to believe that they have to go life after life, trying to figure out and compensate for another past life and learn their lesson. If they haven't learned it in this life, they'd go into the next one. You know what? Some beings lived 10,000 lives here on earth, still not being able to transcend that one point. Why? Because that's how the Anunnakis enslaved human beings, believing they have to learn lessons, believing they have to pay for apparently a previous life that they had fucked up in, and then compensate therefore by making it right in another life. So now that all is taken into consideration, your karma and karma. It was all, but the decision was based on karma. So let's take it to you decided to go to reincarnation. And you're led by your guides. You are apparently your protectors, but your protectors in terms of making sure that you as a human being remain on your path of enslavement and pre-programmed existence, life experience. You're taken to a being. Now this being places out 6 plates. It looks see-through, but then they place in 6 different families. So you're able to choose from 6 different families. You have a choice. Some have a choice, depending on how good and worthy your previous life was. And they place these 6 placements, 6 families. Now they can say bullshit like, you're going in this family to save the marriage. This is your purpose. Or this mother needs you. She's so alone. Her husband left her. You will become the love of her. You know, that they like make it some form of, that you'll have some form of purpose for a certain family. And then you may choose now which family you want to be in. And then you choose one, and then they send you to that particular woman. Which they first place you into like a container, which exists in the back of the mother's, just right there, just above, if you look just above your bum, that line there was a little container which you'd place in, and then about 6 weeks, roundabout, maybe less, 6 weeks they'd then place, you'd then go in and integrate into the baby that's being developed in the mother's womb. But recently it gotten worse. It was already, not worse, the system integration got worse at birth, y'all. But now beings integrate already at the moment of conception. You sprout like a flower. The birds and the bees. Just putting in a little joke there. Okay. So that was the reincarnation process. And the reincarnation process was also automatic. Remember now, all the beings in the dimensions were programmed in here by Anu. And he knew always, all the time, what was happening to everything. Though he had power and dominion in the dimensions, his power and dominion in earth was as the consciousness systems inside human beings, and in the white light, the soul construct, and the reincarnation process. That was all him, as him. And what else? Yeah, so that's how reincarnation worked. This is Jack. Thank you very much.